this Sunday evening, Sunday at Mike's. Let me do a couple of things here I think would be best before I get started. How is everybody doing this week? I hope you're doing fine. I am indeed doing well myself. Uh, let's do this. Here we go. I want to thank you guys for taking your time to watch this live stream. Time is a valuable. I'm a little undressed here. Need to unbutton my top button. It needs to be buttoned. There we go. That looks better. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. Time is a valuable thing, and spending a little bit of yours with me is greatly appreciated. I want to thank you so much for doing so. Um, let me just getting started here, guys. Uh, let me do something here for the chat. There we go. I was just speaking to my uncle Carlton on the phone, catching up with him. It's been a while. Hey, good evening, sir. Mr. Watson in the house. Mr. Rogers in the house. Good evening, guys. So that's why I'm a little late here getting set up. It was one of those hurry up and get myself ready to do the live stream thing because I was talking to him. Everything that he says is always so fascinating to me because Blues Hall of Famer, my Uncle Carlton, is a history, a wealth of knowledge. And I told him about tonight's subject that I'm going to talk about because I wanted to get his viewpoints as a guitar legend, and the things that he observed when he was going through the motions in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, 80s. And so that was interesting. So that made me a little late tonight, guys. Want to put that in there and say check it out just as a reminder for you guys that I do appreciate your support on this channel very much by showing up for the live streams. Another way of helping support this channel is by going to our Bandcamp link that I just put in the chat there and checking out our album. Not necessarily saying that you got to buy it, but if you listen to it, that actually helps me a lot too. It keeps me up in the stats. So please do hit that link and check it out. Listen to the tracks. If you do like it, please do buy it. It's on sale for my birthday month. It's my birthday weekend. Yesterday was my birthday. And I put it up for sale for the month. So please do check that out. Link is in the chat there. And I'll put it down in the description below after the live stream. Yeah. It was one of those weeks where I wanted things to come in that I wanted to share with you, that I was hoping to come in to share with you, but unfortunately, it just did not go that way. I stopped down at Ferns to see what's going on with the Yamaha Lord Player, and he hasn't even had a chance to get to it yet because he's been extremely busy. I was like, okay, fair enough. And the little mini amp that I'm looking to get in hasn't arrived yet either. So it was a complete bust in terms of getting stuff to review for my normal content. However, when it rains, it pours. That just means that I'm going to have a whole slew of things coming in here. So that's good. I guess that's just the way it works. As I get older, I start to learn the adage of letting the universe unfold as it should, or as it will. So I really am just to keep my sanity. Just try to keep that mantra going. The universe will unfold as it should. What else here? A lot of interesting things, there's never a lack of subjects to talk about for these live streams. I do this twice a week, 11 p.m. Central European time on Wednesday and Sunday. And when I stretched this out to do it twice a week, I thought to myself, "Oh man, how am I going to come up with an hour plus worth of content, subjects to talk about, and keep it fresh uh, twice a week. But there is so much stuff out there. I'm actually finding there's a lot of stuff I'm not covering. Maddie Two Hats, hey, how you doing? Welcome, Maddie. Welcome to the live stream. Thank you so much for showing up. There's so much stuff out there to talk about that it's actually like shooting ducks in a bucket. It's just that, yeah, I said that right. You heard that right. It's just like that because there are new topics to touch on every week, and there's old topics to touch on as well. Because sometimes, hell, I just think about it. As it stood, I was looking at an ad for a Nobles ODR1 30th anniversary pedal. Now, the ODR1 is the go-to in Nashville and a lot of other places, LA, for having in terms on your board as a studio overdrive pedal. It's a not a heavy overdrive; it's a light overdrive, but it has made it on a lot of records, and it's been replicated. There are copies of it. And we're going to talk about that tonight. But this is from Nobles. It's their 30th anniversary. I have the 30-year-old from the first run, Nobles PRE one. Fun fact: all of these, the PRE one, the Overdrive, all the metal, it was a line of pedals. Much they were trying to emulate Boss, and all of those pedals were basically based in and around Fender Blackface circuit. So when you take the PRE one that I have and you run it through a Fender amp, it just brings, especially an inexpensive Fender amp like I have, the Champion 40. It's got a good speaker in it, but anyway, you know what I mean. It brings that amp alive, and because it really just is magic for Fender amps, and the ODR1 being no different as well. And I always wanted an ODR1. There are many iterations of it out there, and we'll talk about that's part of what we're going to talk about here tonight. And to be frank with you, I think the PRE, the ODR1, and maybe my Klon copy would be all that I would really need in terms of a pedal board. And all of those are relatively inexpensive pedals, by the way. So that's not a small point. But I was looking at this ODR1, 159 euros they want for this pedal, which, the original 30-year-old PRE one that I have, and, by the way, it's a great pedal. It's a sleeper pedal. You can get them for less than $100, maybe a little bit more. But still, it's $100 pedal. And again, if those are the criteria of your rig, Fender based, playing single coils. Works good with humbuckers, but mostly single coils, Tellys and Strats. Then these are great pedals for you. They really fit. And again, that gets into what your bag is, what it is that you like to play, because that's also going to tailor what it is that you purchase as far as your pedals are concerned. Well, then, of course, that changed with Mahler's, but I'm getting ahead of the story here tonight. So that's what started this. So let me expand this out here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think I finally got myself ready to do a live stream here. I've got my notebook tonight. I didn't have a chance to transfer my notes over to the computer here so I could read them a little bit easier. I was sitting out in my garden because it was actually a beautiful day today. Not warm at all, but the sun was out somewhat. And I was thinking about this ODR1 and debating whether or not it was something that I wanted to do. And of course, inevitably, I came to the decision that it's not, because I'm good. And I had to come up with a title for tonight's live stream. And I just got finished watching old Star Trek, the Menagerie. If any of you guys are familiar with first generation Trek. And I love how McCoy famously says, not in every episode, but is well known for saying he's dead, Jim, or she's dead, Jim. you know. So I thought the pedal market is dead, Jim. That's where tonight's title comes from. And I was making my notes as I was sitting there today, and I was also thinking about the Tone X pedal again, because uh, it it keeps coming up, and a lot of people's discussion these days that I watch on YouTube, and I have my own thoughts on it. And so all of that led into me thinking about the pedal market and its current state. I said in the last live stream that the current state of the pedal market is not great in terms of sales, and that's quite true. Turnover is not great. Um, and there's a lot of really simple reasons behind why that is. But let's table the Tone X for now. I'll bring that up at the end, actually. Circle around back to that. But let's start with David Gilmour, and also my discussion with my Uncle Carlton that I just got off the phone with. David Gilmour usually, just in terms of a pedal, he just used a Rat. Um, Hendrix used three pedals: Octaver, a fuzz face, and sometimes he would change out with something else. But basically, he was a one or two pedal guy, two or three pedal guy. My Uncle Carlton said that in the studios, everything was recorded using small amps, 1x8s, 1x10s, directly into the amps, and then mic'd. He said they usually set it up on a box or a chair so that it doesn't get too boomy, and they record that way. And he said that pedals really never were something that were a thing until the 70s. And then you started getting a lot of jazz guitarists, a lot of experimental jazz guitarists using a lot of pedals, trying to achieve different sounds that to this day we would recognize as rock sounds. Rock sounds. And I found that fascinating because it's as I suspected that honestly, the pedal market as it stands right now doesn't have the ability to reach back into rock history as deeply as a Marshall amp, a Gibson Les Paul, things of that ilk that have direct ties back to the records that we listen to, because a lot of those records were recorded in 1x8s, 1x10s. There was really no pedals involved in a lot of that early stuff, with the exception of Hendrix, and that was usually a fuzz face in the studio. But so the marketing has to play upon your desire to get the newest thing. Since it can't play off your nostalgia, um, then they have to reach into your I it's the newest hottest thing, and it's going to make this is again, I told you, if you look at a lot of the YouTube videos, when they're doing a launch on a new item, you hear this is a game changer, this saved my life. What were you having a heart attack and it also had a built-in pacemaker or something? And you get these statements regarding like this the newest hottest thing, and that's the marketing of it, because they have to do that because they really can't draw upon your nostalgia too much. A fuzz ain't for everybody. It's not. It's not really a pedal that's for everybody. Unless you're into electric jazz, a fuzz pedal is useless to somebody like my Uncle Carlton, for example. And so they have to reach into your buy, buy, buy. Got to get one, got to buy one, got to buy one, buy, buy, buy kind of mentality. Um, because again, they can't reach back into nostalgia in order to sell you things. Um, Now, the current pedal market, as it stands, uh, really started out. The boutique market in particular started out by doing innovating. A lot of innovations, a lot of first generation pedals like the Klon. We'll use this for tonight's, for example. Bill Flanagan, in his kitchen, coming up with one of the probably the most noteworthy known guitar pedals out there, um, in the pantheon of pedals. And you could certainly say that was a boutique. Usually, a turnaround with a boutique pedal builder is only between 3 to 5K units. You know, and Bill was struggling to do a fraction of that. But there was innovation there. And then you had guys like JHS and Wampler taking the classics, like the Klon and the Blues Breaker, and saying, "Hey, let's give it, that extra oomph that would really make it just a fantastic pedal." I mean, a fantastic pedal already, but let's add a little something, a bass boost here. For example, this ODR1, this edition comes with a variable bass knob. The original did not. So just like adding little things to make it really um, attractive to the modern player. And but still, we're talking about 3 to 5K runs with these guys. And when you start getting into the big boys, I like Boss, for example, that's mass production. They're cranking out, a lot of pedals. But it's a funny thing. Um, r- and here I will get into my own personal opinion. Um, have you guys ever played a Boss pedal? Have anybody out there? Have you guys ever tried one? Have you ever owned one? I think that probably most players, if you have a certain age, or at a certain time in your playing, will come across owning a Boss pedal, one or two. Prince only used through the entirety of his career that I know of that I could think of Boss pedals. Um, Ben says, of course. Michael Watson says I have one. Yeah. Um, Built like a tank. I mean, it has been on more records than I would say, any brand of pedal that I could think of in terms of its use in the studio. Prince used it again, like I said, most of his recording, all of his recordings where he was using pedals was Boss pedals. Um, the OD1, the SD1, um, the DS1, the G7 uh, EQ. You know, these pedals are inexpensive. Yeah, they're mass produced, they're not boutique. But these pedals are really, honestly, if this was it in terms of pedals, I think regardless of what your genre was, you could find a Boss pedal that would work for you. That would be a keeper. And at the end of the day, um, you're really using these things or not. You may find plugging directly into an amp is good, and I'm of that. I'm starting to become of that crowd. Is good enough, more than good enough. But you're going to be in a position where eventually you run into a boss, and you're going to realize that pretty much well at this cheap little pedal kicks the butt of a lot of more expensive and some pedals and boutique pedals as well. You know, and I say this as a again my personal opinion about Boss pedals because I really am starting to come to the opinion that for a beginner, an intermediate, and a pro, really Boss pedals will cover you. It'll cover just about everybody, regardless of what you're doing, and that is interesting to me because they're inexpensive, they're mass produced, and they could be had just about anywhere. You go. I was watching um, Brad, the guitarist. He went to a guitar show. I love watching guitar show videos. And what I found interesting, aside from the guitars that he was filming, were the dealers who just had rows and rows and rows and rows and rows of pedals, and a lot of them were Boss pedals. So, uh, boy, I can't even read my own. Uh, oh, okay. So there's that, and then there's a fall off point because there's only so many copies of the Klon you can have. There's only so many copies of a Blues Breaker you can have. There's only so many copies of the most popular Boss pedals that you can have, and there's a saturation point. If you go onto Reddit and you go into my pedals or some of the Reddit subreddits there regarding pedals, I'm a member of a few of them. It's amazing. Uh, there's are of course people who have the Death Star. They've got that big pedal board, and each one of those bad boys are 500 to $800 pedals. And then you have the guys who have really simple boards made up of pedals that are Boss and of the ilk, Rat pedals, things like that. And those are the ones that people say, "Hey, that's cool. I like that." Of course, they give the other guys, "Hey, that looks great. This is great," but there always somebody inevitably says, "I can't afford that. I wish I could afford that." Whereas with the cheaper pedal boards that are being displayed, the comments, great, hey, I've got that too, hey, I used to play one of those when I was a younger player, hey, blah 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 blah. And so again, an interesting point because this fall off is partly part of that, the economics of it. The economics of it is that the boutique builders start to get, of course, there's reasons because their turnover is a lot less, and their cost for parts is a lot more. So there's a lot of factors, and they're small. So their output is small, but the price just took off. The initial idea of a boutique pedal was an inexpensive, good pedal handmade, and that changed. Now, because there's a fall off and because there's so many copies of the classics, that's no longer, and the companies, by the way, like JHS Pedal and Wampler, that started out as boutique companies, they eventually got to a point where they're no longer really considered to be boutique. They're considered to be the big boys. And a lot of guys that started along with them fell off. Um, and of course, a lot of small builders, um, like Chase Audio, I think, Bliss Audio, Chase Audio, Chase Bliss. Anyway, that makes a couple of pedals that I was looking at back. Jeter, um, they either rise or fall really in the same manner. They're either going to build up to the point where they're going to be a big mass produced kind of thingy close or in that league, or they're going to fall off. And that's just been the trend of it if you look at it. So, again, dying there, dying off there. The new builders are focusing in on interesting sound. The meow pedal. Have you guys seen that? The meow pedal to make your cat sound like a guitar. I guess if you were the guitar player in the new Josie and the Pussycats, that would be a great pedal to have. That'd be an awesome one to have. But they're coming up with these sounds that are these pedals that are not geared towards more of the classics, but more towards how avant-garde can they be. And then you're really falling into a niche market. When you're talking to a guy like me, I'm not interested in the meow pedal. I'm really not. 2 bars, 4 stars. It's wild to think of boutique pedals as anything other than expensive. Yeah. Again, thank you and welcome, by the way. Welcome to the live stream. Thank you for chiming in. Yeah, when you think about the beginning, and I remember the idea behind boutique pedals was inexpensive, but now you say boutique and immediately, you're shopping on Rodeo Drive. You know? You're doing a pretty woman. And that's just a reality of them. So they come up with these odd sounding pedals, which again, there's a very, unless you're really into shoegaze, again. So a bit of a falling off there too, in terms of we're not trying to, come up with our better version of a clone. We're trying to do something completely different. We're going and guys, excuse me, my cat is driving me nuts. If you want to come in, you can come in, sweetie. Sorry. Cat was meowing. She wanted in. I'll let her in. Sorry for distraction, guys. So we got to a point now, and thank you, 2 bars, 4 stars, for bringing that point up. Is that we've moved into a direction where some pedals are becoming more expensive than guitars, and I'm not kidding. Not even getting into the maulers. Then you're really talking about some real money there. If you want to get an Axe FX or something like that, it's real money. More than guitars. Yes, honey, everybody hears you. Welcome. You want to say hello? No? All right. Got a mouthy cat here tonight, guys. See, I don't need the meow pedal. I've got the real thing. I don't need my guitar meowing at me. Believe me, she's got it covered here. Oh, sweetie. Yes. So, and pedals have now gotten to the point where they're more expensive than guitars, and what's up with that? Mine do the same. Me too. Yeah. Don't be sorry. I love cats. Yeah, yeah. I got 2 of them. But it then became a proposition for the consumer to not really have a lot of love for pedals, because when if you got to have, it's putting the ox before the cart. I'm sorry, the cart before the ox. In the sense that you need the guitar and the pedal is secondary, and actually the pedal is third in that list, maybe, because you need a good amp. So the pedal market stagnated, and then now, because of inflation and costs and things of that nature, started to really die. And it's an interesting thing to see. There's the competition is what drove the initial pedal market anyway. And like I said, some like Boss and JHS and Wampler, different grades there in terms of manufacturers, but so-called boutique and mass produced all of them climbed up to new heights, whereas others fell off. Competition. And that competition is what led to Bill Flanagan, Flanagan sitting in his kitchen and saying, "Hey, I can do better than that." Um, and we're not seeing that kind of innovation either these days, and that may again be tied into cost. Um, but regardless, you have to focus on really what is the current consumer need. What does the current consumer need? And those are the ones who can raise their hand and say, "Hey, I know what that is, and I can meet that challenge," are the ones that will rise up and are rising up. Everybody else will fade off. And the current consumer needs is not, you know, a $500, $600 pedal. It's just not. Just not. Um, you know, getting to the copies of copies, it's kind of like the folks who would rather buy an Epiphone over a Gibson because of the cost difference. Well, it's 95% there. So, but it's way cheaper. Why should I, buy the Gibson? Maybe it's those 5% are bells and whistles that I, as a consumer, don't feel the need to pay out for. And it's the same thing with pedals these days as well. People are starting to say, hey, and I, again, going to Reddit forums, pedal forums, people are starting to say, hey, you know what? What's the alternative to that pedal? Does somebody else make something that's like that? Those are the questions that are starting to come up. Why pay more? And when you got that wallet hitting, that invisible, wall of you can't go past, thou shalt not pass, uh, um, then the reality is that a lot of these manufacturers are going to have to make adjustments in their prices or they're going to fall off. There's been a pullback in consumption. And that pullback in consumption uh, is across the board. 2 bars, 4 stars, because even people's small boards on Reddit seem to cost the 1K. Well, like I said, even those posts are starting to fall off, or when they do show up, people will say, "Hey, that's nice, that's swell," but eventually they'll say, "Hey," so there will be several people say, "That's nice, but I can't swing that," or what's the alternative to that pedal? What's the cheaper version of that? And again, and again, in the hierarchy of necessities in being a guitar player, a guitar pedal really is not it. If you've got a good guitar and a good amp that has a good EQ on it and maybe built-in reverb, you really don't need anything more than that. 1x12 that I told you before, at least 15 watts, you're good. Pedal is an accessory that is great to sharpen and to change and alter the sound that you're getting from those good pickups into that good speaker, but it's not a necessary component. It's not. Because in the annals of rock and roll history, it wasn't. And going into modern day, um, you can do without still. If all guitar manufacturers were to never make another guitar from this day on, I'm pretty sure that we'd be fine. I'm of that camp, Ben says. Same goes for Amos and pedals. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, you look at that video that Brad did at that, and his video was like, the market is flooded with Gibsons and Fenders, and so that there you go. Brad was talking about that, pointing that out, that dealers were saying that, and yeah, yeah, because there are, and and of course, and then you got too many in the market, and you got everybody wanting to sell. Well, guess what happens? The price goes in the toilet. That's why I told you you haven't seen anything yet. You think this is bad? Let's cruise through the summer, going into the fall, and you'll see what I mean. And you know, uh, it's just amazing to me that the overproduction is so apparent when you look at those guitar conventions, and things of that nature. That you really have to wonder, how is there really any bottom in the market, some of this stuff? Because, again, price is the territory, value is the location you're trying to get to. And how do you determine that? When you're flooding the market with pedals and guitars, amps and pedals. It's so cool. Oh, look at that. That's a a such and such, twin reverb. Or, that's a nice 4x12, Marshall stack, you know. But to the modern consumer, these things are improbable. Not improbable. They're improbable for your living situation. Yeah, that's the right word. They're improbable. And so, again, uh, w- I'm digressing a little bit there, but I'm making the point that the overproduction is another reason, a factor in why the market is not moving, why it's dying too. And a lot of the innovation is not there, as I pointed out. Um, uh, the the black magic of marketing is not working because of the inflation of things, and the necessity of pedals is not high in the hierarchy. You got an ODR one, and and a Klon or something like that, you really don't need anything else. Just like the old guys, like back in the day, had a rat pedal and that was it, or they had, whatever, a fuzz face or whatever, that was it, because that's all that was really necessary. You don't need the Death Star pedal board, small or big. Did you know the second Death Star was bigger than the first one? A little Star Wars trivia, man. I did not know. like you have to wonder, do they think themselves, well, if we build it bigger, then they can't blow it up, Yeah. Yeah. I would just love to be. I always wanted to be a Death Star salesman because, like, you always had somebody buying those bad boys. Blow them up. Hey, we got another one for you. It's even bigger. But you don't have the consumer has changed, so the consumer trend. So those three things are why I think the pedal market is dying. Now, I said I would circle back around to that Tonex pedal, and I will take this time to do so. Um, I was thinking about that again, and I finally was able to nail down, thanks to John Robinson Guitar. If you haven't checked out John Robinson Guitar channel, he and I are in the same. Well, maybe he's a little younger than me, but we're in that same age, and we've been around guitars pretty much the same amount of time. And I like the way he thinks, and he was able, because he spoke on the Tonex pedal, and he was able to put it in a way that I was like, yeah, that's what I mean. That's what he was able to articulate it better than me. And he said, the reason why I'm not interested in buying the Tonex pedal or the Boss pedal or any of those other ones is because they're just copies of things that I've already had. I myself, as I told you, when I played live in Japan, I had a multi effects unit that I used, and for recording, I used, can't think of it right now. It's a gray little thing, pretty famous, multi effects pedal unit. I've seen these things, and it just strikes me, just like John stated, that they keep coming out with iterations of this thing, but it's the same old riff on the same thing. And they'll come out with something next month that will be, oh, this is the best thing since sliced bread. But wait a minute, that thing that came out last year was the best thing since sliced bread. And this just seems like, this is going to get smaller and smaller to the point where, you just like put a sticker on your guitar and it'll make it sound like whatever you want. But I just don't, it's, it doesn't appeal to me because it's just riffs upon the same riff. And they can shrink it down and put it in a smaller package. And it's, to me, it's just the same old thing. It's nothing really exciting. The other thing I'll add to it, to John's statement, my initial statement is, what turns me off is the fact that you have to use software or plug it into a computer, or you've got to interface it with something in order to make it work. And even though they say, well, you've got 2,000 or 20,000 or however many samples to choose from the library, how long is that library going to be available to you? And will they put it behind a paywall, which seems to be the trend that a lot of people are going these days? And then how now, brown cow, you know? And I don't like being put in that position where I'm buying a product and I feel like I'm renting it. I don't own it. And the Tone X pedal is one of those things that makes me feel like I'd be renting it. I wouldn't be actually owning it. And when they turn off the lights at Tone X Central, then that's it. Then whatever's in there is in there. And when it breaks, it's gone because you can't update the software. So, going in that direction and things like that, I just don't, I know everybody hypes about it, especially younger players. They love that stuff. Some of the older guys too. But again, you know, it just doesn't appeal to me. So it gets down to, who's this for? Who are these things for? And again, that was one of the points that I made in my discussion here tonight, about knowing your consumer base and who it is you're making these pedals for. The Nobles ODR 1 30th anniversary is you know what does it say here? The versatility of the ODR 1 is a favorite for many guitar players such as Jerry Donahue, Guthrie Trapp, blah 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 blah. Says here it's good for humbuckers. Again, it depends upon who you talk to. But this is basically a new, improved version of something that already is. Now, guarantee the original ODR one, unlike the PR one in there, is not cheap. They're about $500 pedals. Whereas this one is 136. Now, everybody tell you that there's mojo to the original circuit of things, and they'll tell you the first generation rat is better than the second generation, or the square rat is better than the slanted rat. All the versions of the rat pedal. And to tell you the truth, it all sounds the same. And why would I spend $500 for the original when I can get this copy here made by the same people, 439 or whatever this is? And I think that, and it's not marketed in any other way other than, hey, you know what this is, you either do or you don't, and this is what we can produce it for. And once you buy it, you own it. You don't need to hook it up to any software. It is what it is. It does what it does. and you'll spend more time playing than you will fiddling around with knobs and LED screens. And so I started out talking about this Noble's ODR1 in juxtaposition with the Tonex pedal, because this is the 30th anniversary of this pedal too. By the way, if that little part didn't register with you, I really wonder if there'll be a 30th anniversary of the Tonex pedal. Probably not, because by next year there's going to be something that's going to take its place. Probably by the same people who are making this. So, believe it or not, excuse me, that's my hopeful ending to the death of the pedal market. Is that there is hope there, but there's still no innovation, and it will die a slow death until there is. This is good. Keeping the price down, giving the consumer what they want, but again, it's not going to save the pedal market, and neither is the Tonex. Unless the innovation, the price, and the other factors that I went through tonight are acknowledged and addressed, and an understanding of the consumer market and what they want and what they need, as opposed to what you think would be cool, and the fact that now, yeah, it's cool, but it's going to cost you $500 to produce and put out. Not so cool. Um, I think that changing the habits of the builders is part of the component of that. So a lot there tonight, guys. Fascinating subject. I could go. I was talking to Uncle Carlton, as I said, and he started going on about his rack mount hardware stuff. He has a lot of 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 hardware, rack mount hardware, recording hardware that he used. And a lot of it's become obsolete. And all of it, most of it, they have software versions of. So there's an interesting thing, because anyway, that's a whole nother subject. But I found that fascinating. And the pedal market may go the same way too. Eventually, every pedal will be, you just buy one pedal, and the, I don't know, but then again, you got to hook it up with a computer. It's just a direction that I just don't jibe with. And no matter how I try to play it through in my mind, it just doesn't work. I want to own it, and I don't feel like I own it with software-based pedals. And I do think that that the circuit-based pedals should not be above, boutique or not. It should not be above a certain price, because I'm not going to pay it, and most people won't either. Especially if it's something new and people don't know what it is. Hey, I don't know whether it could be great, it could be crap. Do I feel like rolling the dice and spending 300-400 to find out? Maybe not. Probably not. Probably not. Just saying. So again, my subject for tonight: the pedal market. It's dead, Jim. For those reasons, and a lot more. Uh, do I see hope? Again, like I said, I bring up the Noble's ODR1 or 30th anniversary as a hopeful thing, but not the savior. No. 2 bars for a star says software for rental, trying out expensive things for the first time, circuit for lifetime purchase. Yes, exactly correct. Yeah. I really just feel like I'm renting those pedal like that. And I don't trust them. I got burned, as you guys know, so bad with some software with a company that shall not be named. I spent thousands of dollars on software hardware with them, and with a lifetime guarantee on it, and that didn't mean jack. I could have had crap in this hand and that warranty in the other, and guess which one had more value to it. At least I could use the manure to grow something. Andrew 357. Pedal prices are daft. Gotta agree. Except the standards like Boss, and even they have gone silly on the latest stuff. Yeah, because but their core market is still those Boss pedals, which you can find secondhand, third hand, fourth hand. Fortunately, out there in every pawn shop across the United States, UK, Canada, and all the known territories, because there's so many of them out there. And quite frankly, again, they're built like a tank. I've never, even secondhand, I've never come across one that was bad. You um, and that's just a fact of the matter. If everybody stopped producing, Boss has already got you covered, and a long time ago, too. Just saying. It gets back to my ecology, you know, kind of thing, because I don't like it. I don't. I just. I don't like this overproduction of all this stuff. Holy crap! I'm not kidding. Look at Brad's video. If you don't look at Brad's video, look at any video of any guitar show, and don't look at the guitars. But when they go by the tables with the pedals, look at the insane amount of pedals that are there. Enough for you, me, the cat, the dog, grandpa, grandma to have one. Okay. Okay. And um, oversaturation. You can add that to the list as a reason why the Pell market's dying. There's too many of them out there. And again, at the prices they're charging for, who wants to be the guinea pig? Not me. I'm not raising my hand. Hey, I'll spend my money to find out if it's worth something. Generally, no. I think we really if you can't find a pedal out there under $100 that does the job for you, you haven't looked really hard, or less, or less. You really haven't looked very hard. And if you do that and you stop buying new, maybe these guys will start producing so many. Yeah, it's going to turn off the lights. I know people are going to lose their job, but what's the use of having a paycheck in a world where you're just inundated with toxins from crap that's laying in waste dumps? There comes a point where you're doing more harm than good at the end. And I understand the economics of it, believe me, but I also understand the ecology of it even better. So, just saying, guys, just saying. Switch gears here. I was able to secure, by the way, a good time to say it. If you haven't hit the like button, do so. I do appreciate it. Hit those likes, guys. Hit those likes. Hit those likes, guys. Hit those likes. Helps with the YouTube algorithm. I've been told. I am trying to get my subscription base to 5,000 subscribers by the end of this year, by December. I think we can do it with a little help of my friends. So if you're watching this in the rerun, in the rewind, or live right now, and you haven't subscribed, I invite you to do so and to join this community that's growing. Um, I was able to secure the Orville by Gibson SG from 1988. That is with my Japanese agent, as well as the Greco that I talked to you guys about. I know I said I wasn't going to get into Japanese Strat, but this one from 1978, Greco early 60s, is considered to be one of the best, and certainly a very hard one to find, especially an Olympic white like this one. Came in three colors. I found one Olympic white with everything original, including its whammy bar. and stickers on the back of the neck. You guys know how I roll. I try to find the best of the best, but I found from 1978, excellent condition. Um, and it was fascinating to me that uh, I was able to find those in the time that I gave myself to find something. I didn't know what it was going to be this month. Every month, I go on the guitar safari to try to see what I can find. And this month, I found such interesting ones, and I did secure those. So for sure, 100%, I can say that for now, for sure. Announce that when they come in, we'll be unboxing those and taking a look at those. That's 77, 78 Greco, early 60s. You guys can look that up. It's the special edition 700 early 60s Greco. Is made by the folks who just a few years later started making Fenders for Fender in Japan. So that's why this Greco from the factory, Teruta factory that it was made in, is considered to be of high quality because the quality of it is the same. It has an ash body. Um, you know, the quality of it is as good as a USA Fender. And because it's 1978, that basically means in another few years, another 6 years, all the guitars from the 70s are going to become true vintage guitars. So not all vintage guitars are pricey, but some, if you know the right ones, you can still get now at a great price that will have a little cachet to them later on. And I do believe there are some, like the Grecos, some of them, that will hold that. Not a lot of them. There's still Grecos are still. You can get some great strats from Greco. You can get some great strats from Greco. 300-400 bucks from the 70s that I think you would be really happy with. So, little PSA there too, as well. And I think that we, sorry, my cat is peeking in the door. Bad pussycat. Um, I am looking forward to that. I really am. That's going to be something that I really want to share with you guys. I really want you to check that out. I'm excited to see it myself. I have to say. So that is coming up here. We'll have that. We will definitely be covering that Yamaha this week. I think Fern will have that ready for me. The live stream I did on that Yamaha, those Yamaha guitars, is my most popular live stream to date. I'm hitting, check it out, I'm hitting 20,000 views on that. I'm 2,000 views on that thing. I apparently there's an interest in those old Yamaha guitars out there. So part two of that is going to be on my regular contract content channel where I'm going to review that. Hopefully that'll be this week. That's the next video that I want to do. Hopefully Fern will have that this week. I think he will, knock on wood. And you guys can have that to look forward to. I think we've covered it enough here tonight. I want to thank Ben and Maddie and 2 Bars 4 Stars. Andrew 357, one of the Matty Two Hats, Mr. Watson, Mr. Rogers, everybody else who always watches and supports this channel, whatever we do, whether content we do. I want to thank you guys for showing up again tonight. So hopefully that'll be coming up this week. Look forward to that. Support that. And I will see you guys for sure, God willing, this Wednesday. So you guys take care. Have a good one. I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.